ॐ तव कथामृतं तप्तजीवनं कविभिरीडितं कल्मषापहं श्रवणमङ्गलं श्रीमदाततं भुवि गृह्णन्ति ते भूरिता जनाः. O Lord, your words, like sweet nectar, refresh the afflicted. Your words, which poets have sung in verses, vanquish the sins of the worldly. Blessed are they who hear of you, and blessed indeed are they who speak of you. How great is their reward. We have been reading the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. At present we are in chapter 17, the entry for Saturday, 22nd December 1883. Yam had been staying at Dakshinesha with Sri Ramakrishna for the last 8 days. He came and started staying there from 9th of December. He wanted to spend some time in intense spiritual practices, staying with Sri Ramakrishna. Rakhal, Harish, Yam, and Latu had been staying with Sri Ramakrishna at Dakshinesha. About 9 o'clock in the morning, the master was sitting with them on the southwest veranda of his room when Balaram's father and Devendra Ghosh of Shampukur arrived. A devotee. Sir, how does one obtain love for God? Master. Go forward. The king dwells beyond the 7 gates. You can see him only after passing through all the gates. At the time of the installation of Annapurna at Chanak, I said to Dwarika Babu, large fish live in the deep water of a big lake. Throw some spiced bait into the water. Then the fish will come, attracted by its smell. Now and then they will make the water splash. Devotion and ecstatic love are like the spiced bait. Now the question is, how to cultivate love of God? How does one obtain love of God? Now, love of God, or the path of love, is among the different paths said to be the easiest. Vedanta speaks about the 4 paths for God realization: path of knowledge, path of action, path of meditation, and path of love. Among all the 4, path of love or love of God is said to be the easiest. Because here we turn all our emotions towards God. In the path of knowledge and concentration, you have to, or path of meditation, you have to concentrate your mind, control your emotions, control your mind. A lot of things are there involved. And especially for path of knowledge, they say the 4 minimum qualification: dispassion, discrimination, all that. And then the 6 virtues of calmness, etc., and intense longing for God, for self-realization. But path of love is so easy. Just love. Nobody need to teach us how to love, because that's a emotion every human being has got. And in this path of love, they say not just love God, you turn all your emotions towards God. You're feeling angry. Of course, you can get angry with God. Feel angry to God, fight with God, quarrel with God, saying, why is it my mind fixed on you? Why am I not loving you more? Why am I not getting upset with the world, or why is it my mind disturbed by what's happening around me? All those things you turn towards God. So, path of love is said to be easy for this reason, because we all have got this human emotion. We can turn all that emotions to God. And then another is interesting part is human beings have got different relationship in our day-to-day life. We can assume any of those relationship with God. Look upon God as father, mother, child, friend, master, lover. Any of those relations we can turn to God. So that's why it is said path of love is a lot easier. But though they say it is easy, nothing is easy in spiritual life. When they say it easy compared to other path, this is easier. That's all. By comparison, there's ordinary love is like the stream flowing down towards the ocean, whereas love of God is turning the stream back to its source. It's going the opposite way. It's hard. It's not easy. And Swamiji says in his lectures on Bhakti Yoga, love of God it can be compared to a triangle. Triangle with the three angles. So love of God also is God. We can say it is a triangle of love, and there are three angles. First angle is love knows no bargaining. Now ordinary love for God. We pray to God. Everybody prays to God. But all our prayers are for some selfish end. And if we don't get that what we pray for, often people stop praying, think that, oh, I have been praying to God for so long, but I didn't get any result. So what's the point of praying to God? Swamiji says that's bargaining. Or even worshipping God. People offer worship to God. I will offer this particular worship for the fulfillment of this particular desire. So it is like paying the money and buying something. So that's why Swamiji says, in path of love, there's no bargaining. You love just for the sake of love, not to get anything back. You want to love God, so you love. It's a one-way traffic. You give your love. You are not asking anything in return. Even for desiring liberation or salvation, so according to Swamiji, is degenerating that love. That extreme love is just for the sake of love. So that's why the first angle he puts as love knows no bargaining. The second angle of the triangle of love is love knows no fear. When there is love, fear goes out. We don't love God out of fear. We are asked to be not God fearing people, but God loving people. You love God or you pray to God because you fear that God will punish you. That's not love. There is no love there. When there is fear, love goes out. When there is true love, there is no fear. And an example Swamiji gives is, when there is love, fear goes out. An example he gives is, suppose you are on the road with your young child, and a fierce dog comes and comes to attack the child. What will you do? Your place will be between the dog and your child. Swamiji was talking to, and many of in the audience there was young mothers were there. So your position will be between the child and the dog. But on the next day, say you are alone on the road and another dog comes, you will start running away, because there is nothing to protect. Earlier, the previous day, your love for the child gave you courage. So when there is love, real love, there is no place for fear. So We love God for the sake of love, not because God will punish you for doing something wrong or some misdeed. No. When it's God fearing people, it's all right, but it's in a lower level. But God loving is still high. That's why the real love of God does not have any place for fear in that. And the third angle of the triangle is love knows no rival. In true love, the object of your love is your highest ideal. Whatever you love, whatever your ideal within your mind, you project it out on the object of your love. And for human being, the highest object of love is God. In our scriptures, all the gods and goddesses are portrayed as beautiful, compassionate, powerful. So, whatever the highest ideal in all the different aspects, we project it on God. So, God is the highest ideal that we have. But ordinarily, we don't have that high ideal of love for God. Ordinarily, why do we pray to God? To fulfill our some desire for selfish purpose. So it is not actually we love God, we need God for our selfish purpose, so we pray. That is why Sri Krishna categorizes four type of people who pray to God, who worship God. He says the distressed, the knower of the seeker after wealth, the seeker after knowledge, and the wise person. Four type of people worship me, he says in the Gita. But then he goes to add that all of them are noble. Even the people who are pray to God because of their distress or seeking wealth, even them he categorizes as noble because they are praying to God. Even though they are praying to God for the sake of a selfish purpose, gradually, slowly, it will purify their mind and they will reach a state when there is selfless love for God comes. That's why Krishna says they are all noble, and it shows the liberal attitude of Sri Krishna. Whatever means he wants us to take on the right path. So you are a seeker after wealth. You are praying to me, fine. You are praying to God. That's very good. But slowly, slowly, your prayer will become purified. Now, the question from the devotee is, how does one obtain this love of God? This love, pure love of God, how does one obtain? And Sri Ramakrishna says, go forward. The king dwells beyond the 7 gates. You can see him only after passing through all the gates. That means you have to put in a lot of effort. Without any effort, simply sitting quietly, oh, I want to love God, I want to love God. Love of God doesn't happen. You have to work. You have to put in effort. And what are the discipline that we can follow to get love of God? Through prayer, having holy company, and having intense faith. Swami Sivananda, one of the disciples of Sri Ramakrishna, says, pray to him with all your heart for his grace and for devotion and faith. See, what are the things that we have prayed for? Pray to him for his grace, devotion, and faith. It is not possible for everyone to practice hard austerities. But then, through prayer, everything is attained. If you find it difficult to meditate, be prayerful. Everybody is not able to practice hard austerities or meditate. We say we try to meditate, but we are not able to. We are not able to concentrate our mind. So what to do? Be prayerful. Pray to God for devotion and His grace and faith. Through that, slowly, through the prayer, and along with repeating the name of God, the mind gets purified. And then, slowly, over the time, period of time, the mind will be able to meditate on God for a longer time. Another method is having holy company. The company of holy people helps us to turn our mind towards God. There's a saying that you tell me your friends, I know what sort of person you are. Your friends, you associate with people of your temperament. So if you are associating with holy people, then slowly, your mind will be um, colored by their company. We always say the vibrations. So in the holy company of holy people, we'll be absorbing the holy vibrations, and slowly our mind will be colored by that. And you turn to have more and more thought of God in your mind. Now, who is a holy person? The one in whose heart God has been installed. And to install the God in your heart, the heart must be pure. It's not that God has to come from outside. God is already there. As Shri Krishna says, Ishvara Sarva Bhudanam Hridayase Arjuna Tishtati. So the Lord is seated in the heart of all. Only that because of our impurity, we are not able to see that presence of God. But holy people, their heart has become pure, and so we can feel the presence of God in their heart more. When you go to their presence company, we feel the presence of God. But what's the test? How can you find out whether the person is holy? Many people can claim that I'm a holy person and sit with eyes closed, supposed to be meditating. But Sri Ramakrishna says that can be like the meditation of the monkeys. Monkeys also sit quietly, but they'll be thinking which garden to raid next. So we can sit with eyes closed quietly, but where is your mind? Don't know. Wherever your mind, there you are. But so how to find out who is a really holy person? You go to the presence of the holy person, naturally your mind will be turned to thought of God. It's like going near fire. You go near fire, you will feel the heat. Fire doesn't do anything. Just by being there in the vicinity of fire, you can feel the heat. The same way, in the presence of holy people, you will feel naturally thought of God comes to your mind. And effort, you have to put in effort. Simply sitting, God's grace will come. Then I'll pray to God. Grace does not come like that. God's grace is always there, but we have to become grace worthy. We have to become deserving to feel that grace or accept that grace. So Sri Ramakrishna says the breeze of God's grace is always blowing. We have to unfurl our sail to catch the breeze. If the vessel is already full, it can't take any water. Grace is like water pouring from the sky, rain falling. But the vessel is already full, it can't take anything more. Our heart is like that at present, with all sorts of prejudices, preconceived ideas, and desires. Our heart is full. How can God's grace come there? It's already, we have to empty that. We have to get rid of our desires, preconceived ideas, prejudices, etc. Then purify the mind, then God's grace we'll be able to absorb. That is why self-effort is needed. Without self-effort, grace won't come. I'll pray to God after I get His grace. I'll meditate on God when I get His grace. You're not going to get. You have to work, and then along with that, grace will come. You will be able to absorb the grace. Just as they say, after controlling the mind, I'll meditate. No, it won't happen. Both has to go together. Try to meditate and try to control the mind. As you try to control your mind, your meditation becomes deeper, and as you try to meditate, you'll be able to control your mind more and more. The same way, as you strive to love God through prayer and repetition of the name of God, then your mind will become purer and purer, and you will be able to have more of God's grace. That's why Sri Ramakrishna says, go forward, work, do some effort, do something. The king dwells beyond the 7 gates. You are standing at the front gate and say, I want to see God, I want to see the king. No, you have to go forward, go beyond. You can see him only after passing through all the gates. There are different levels. You go forward, go forward. That is why the holy companies is needed to give us direction towards God. Sometimes people have strange ideas about spiritual life. In the company of holy people, we get a clearer picture. An example in Sri Ramakrishna's life we see, Adharsan came to Sri Ramakrishna with a friend of his. And on his second visit, it seemed that Sri Ramakrishna was in ecstasy at that time. And the joy on his face, it was a revelation to Adhar. Sri Ramakrishna's face was full of joy, as though he was bursting out with bliss in that state of ecstasy. And then Adhar told his friend also, it seems, he used to have trance. Your trance showed as though you were undergoing a lot of suffering, pain. And if Sri Ramakrishna's trance also was like that, I would have never come back here again. But Sri Ramakrishna's trance opened his eyes. This is real ecstasy. When you are experiencing God, you are full of bliss. That's one of the results of Holy Company. In the company of Sri Ramakrishna, he got a clearer picture. What is ecstasy? What is trance? And as I said earlier, whatever the company we keep, we get that because we are absorbing those vibrations. So Swami Adbhutananda says, if you always think of a holy person, you'll become holy and pure. If you think of a thief, you'll become a thief. Pure character is formed by close association with the holy, because you absorb their company, their vibrations, and your bad tendencies, whatever you have, slowly get erased, and you'll become pure and holy. At the time of installation of Annapurna at Chanak, I said to Dwarika Babu, large fish live in the deep water of the big lake. Throw some spice bait into the water, and the fish will come, attracted by its smell. Then, now and then, they will make the water splash. And what is a spice bait? Devotion and ecstatic love are the spice bait. Have ecstatic love for God. Love for the sake of love itself. Nothing, not while desiring anything, no selfish ends. Just pure love. Now, Sri Ramakrishna continues. God sports in the world as man. He incarnates himself as man, as is the case of Krishna, Rama, and Chaitanya. Once I said to Keshav, the greatest manifestation of God is in man. There are small holes in the bulk of the field where crabs and fish accumulate in the rainy season. If you want to find them, you must seek them in the holes. If you seek God, you must seek Him in the incarnation. God sports in the world as man. He incarnates Himself as man, as a human being. So if you want to seek God, you must seek in the incarnation. It's very hard to think that God can take a human form. But God dwells in all. In all beings, God is present. But why is there so many difference then in the different people? So much of difference we see. Some are good, some are wicked, some are holy, some are immersed in evil deeds and sin. If God is present in all, why so much of variety? Everybody is God. Sri Ramakrishna says there is difference in manifestation. God is present in all, but there is difference in manifestation. In some, it's manifested more. In some, it's less manifested. God is present in all things, not just human beings, in all things, living, non-living, everything. But then in non-living beings, things, it's present, the manifestation is the least. Presence is there, but it's not manifested at all. In living beings like plants, animals, there's a little more manifestation. And in human beings, still greater manifestation. But when the mind becomes pure, as in the case of spiritually minded people, there's still greater manifestation. It's like cleaning the glass of the window. If the glass is completely covered in dust or dirt, you don't get any light from outside. Light is there, but you don't get any sunlight. You clean, as you go on cleaning the glass, you get more and more light. Or the light of the chimney of a lantern. As you go on cleaning the chimney, you get more and more light coming out from the lantern. The light was there all the time, but earlier in the beginning, you didn't see any light because it was completely covered with soot. But as you go on cleaning, more and more light comes out. And in the incarnation, when God takes a human form, it's completely pure. There is no dirt at all on the glass. So the full light comes out. But it's very hard to understand. If you want to seek God in man, in incarnation. Divine Mother of the universe manifests herself through the 3.5-foot cubits of man. There is a song that says, "O Mother, what a machine is this that thou hast made? What pranks thou playest with this toy, 3.5 cubits high?" 3.5 cubits, the high size of a human being. But the infinite Brahman or supreme reality is contained in that. It's very hard to understand. One needs spiritual practice in order to know God and recognize divine incarnation. Without spiritual practice, you cannot recognize divine incarnation. Our idea of God is what depend upon our evolution. If our mind is full of anger, hatred, revenge, our God also will be very angry vengeful God. But if your heart is full of love and compassion, our idea of God also will be a loving, compassionate God. So Rousseau says, it said God created man in his image, and man reciprocated by creating God in his own image. So our idea of God depends upon what we are. Through spiritual practice, our hearts become pure, and then we get a better idea of God. Otherwise, it's very hard to understand what God is and recognize divine incarnation. If you look at all the incarnations that we had, we see it's very hard. Very few people recognized. Sri Ramakrishna says in the gospel, we can see again and again. Sri Ramakrishna says, when Rama went to the forest, Sri Rama went to the forest, only 12 sages recognized him as incarnation of God. For the rest of the sages in the forest, he was just a prince. He was the son of King Dasharatha. And he told them, the sages told Rama, sages like Bharadwaja look upon you as Supreme Brahman, God. But we look upon you as the Rama, the king, son of King Dasharatha. We want the supreme reality. And Sri Krishna, from childhood he was doing all supernatural achievements, like dealing with the demons and everything. But still, people looked upon him as a child, son of Nanda and Yashoda. And later, he was just one of the Yadava chieftains. People can't recognize the holy person, the incarnation. Jesus, isn't he the son of Joseph and Mary, the carpenter? And Sri Ramakrishna in the recent time, in the people of Dakshinesha, the mad priest of the temple, the mad priest. He was a mad priest. And for the people of Kamarpukur, he was our friend Gadai. Oh, now he has become a god. What's that? He's just a Gadai. He played with us. And Holy Mother, isn't it Sharada, who grew up in our village with us? They didn't recognize. One lady, years later, when Holy Mother had disciples and lot of people, devotees coming to Holy Mother in Jarambati, one of the village ladies, she said, one day she was there in the presence in Holy Mother's house, and somebody from Calcutta had sent a large parcel of various goods. And seeing the brahmachari Holy Mother's attendant was unpacking everything and taking everything out. And seeing all that, the lady said, she was telling the other devotees who were around, there was a talk of Paramahamsadava's marriage with me, but my father didn't allow, seeing that because he was mad. If that marriage had went ahead, then I would have got all these things. So for her, Holy Mother is just one of the other ladies in the village. Then, of course, Holy Mother said, you can take whatever you want. The lady was greedy, seeing all those things. You take whatever you want. Holy Mother just laughed. It's very hard to recognize an incarnation. As Sri Ramakrishna in this parable says, a rich man sent a precious stone, a diamond, with his servant to find how much the different people will value it. First, he asked the servant to take it to the vegetable seller. And the vegetable seller looked at it. "Oh, it's a beautiful stone. I can give you 1 kilo of eggplant." And the man asked, "Won't you give little more?" "No, no, no, this is more than I can give." Then he came back and told the master, he could take it to the cloth merchant. The cloth merchant looked at it and said, "I can give you 2 bales of cloth, not more than that." Like that, different people valued it, and then at last the diamond was taken to a jeweler, and the jeweler just looked at it a glance and he said, "I'll give you 100,000 rupees." So Sri Ramakrishna says only a jeweler can understand the value of a jewel. The incarnation, ordinary people look at incarnation and say, "Yeah, just like us. What's the difference?" He taken a human form, eats, sleeps, gets sick. When Sri Ramakrishna got sick, Sri Ramakrishna, some of the disciples were already, or devotees were already proclaiming Sri Ramakrishna as incarnation, like Ram Babu and others. Whereas some of the Brahmo devotees who used to come to Sri Ramakrishna were very upset about that. So when one of them, Shivanath Shastri, came, Sri Ramakrishna was talking to him and said, "Have you ever heard God breaking his hand or getting cancer?" And they're saying, "I'm God. I got cancer now. I fell down and broke my hand." Taken a human form, God behaves just like a human being. He's got hunger, thirst, sleep, gets sick. But ordinary people cannot understand. And they think, even if they come in the presence of an incarnation, and when they see the incarnation getting sick, they think that, no, that's not, then this man is not an incarnation, not even a holy person. Holy people should not get sick. That idea is there quite prevalent. When Swami Vivekananda got sick in America, and some of the people who used to come to him to attend his lectures and everything thought, how can a holy man get sick? Then he's not really a holy person. And they left him. That shows how shallow they are, because they are not deep enough to recognize his greatness. That's why Sri Ramakrishna says one needs spiritual practice in order to know God and recognize divine incarnation. Otherwise, they will think, oh, just like us. What's the difference? But every act of the incarnation, every word of the incarnation has got deep meaning. Nothing is said or done in play or just as us ordinary people do. Every act, every word has got deep meaning, to either to set an example or to convey some message. To give an example, when Sri Ramakrishna was in Dakshinesha, after he stopped doing the worship and the devotee has started coming, then it was arranged that after the worship in the Kali temple, some offered fruits and sweets will come to Sri Ramakrishna's room. And Sri Ramakrishna may take one piece of fruit or a small bit of offered sweets, that's all. And then he will distribute to the devotees. One day, Yogin, who later became Swami Yogananda, he came from the village of Dakshineswar only, from a aristocratic, well-to-do family. He was there, and Sri Ramakrishna was waiting for these offered fruits and sweets to come, and it's not coming. He waited for some more time, and then he went to the manager's office to find out why the offered fruits and sweets didn't come. And Yogin started thinking, why? Sri Ramakrishna doesn't eat that. Why is he so upset that the offered fruits and sweets didn't come to his room? He could not make head and tail of the whole thing. Then at last he came to the conclusion. See, Sri Ramakrishna came from a poor family and they are priests. So the family culture, however spiritually evolved he may be, still the family culture, it's very hard to get rid of the habits. So Yogin thought like that and he just waited quietly for Sri Ramakrishna to come back. And he came back, Sri Ramakrishna came back and said, of course, the manager apologized and straight away sent his Sri Ramakrishna's share of the offered fruits. And then he said, Rani Rasmani arranged this, made this arrangement so that it will be distributed to the devotees. And that merit of devotees taking the offered sweets and fruits will go to Rani. Whereas what is the managers and the other officials of the workers of the temple get, they may even sell it in the market. So at least the what comes to my room, this room, will be distributed to the devotees, and the Rani Rasmani, who set up the temple, will get that much of merit. That's why I'm so insistent that that part, the portion should come here. See, a simple incident, but got a deep meaning. Another incident is this again with the Yogin only. Yogin once asked Sri Ramakrishna how to overcome lust. Sri Ramakrishna said, chant the name of God. And Yogin thought, chant the name of God. So many people chant the name of God. Have they all overcome lust? Hey, he said that because he doesn't know anything better. He actually, Yogin expected some intricate practices or yogic practices, something he was expecting. And Sri Ramakrishna gave such a simple remedy, chant the name of God. So many thousands of people chant the name of God. We don't see them overcoming lust. Such a simple thing. But then Yogin had the good tendencies in his mind. So he thought, well, let me try. He has asked me, let me try and see whether it works or not. And he really, with great concentration, he repeated the name of God. And then he said it worked. He was able to overcome the feeling of lust. So that is another point. Giving in incarnations may give a simple explanation or simple directions. If you put it with faith, then we will realize it leads to the goal. Faith is not blind, as often people say. Faith is belief you trust, you test and practice, test and prove true, then it becomes faith. The simple instruction of chanting God's name, Yogin practiced it, tested the validity of that statement. You chant the name of God, the lust will be overcome. He proved that in his experience, and then it becomes faith. Big fish live in the large lake, but to see them, one must throw spaced bait in the water. There is butter in milk, but one must churn the milk to get it. There is oil in mustard seed, but one must press the seed to extract the oil. Sri Ramakrishna is giving simple examples to show the need for self-effort. Without putting effort, you won't get any result. For ordinary things, we are things of the world. We are happy to strive a lot, put in a lot of effort. We have got time. Even if we don't have time, we make time for that. Squeeze and make time. But when we are asked to do spiritual practices, we say, where is the time? We have got so much of work to do. We are householders. We don't have time. That comes only for when it comes to spiritual practices. But the things of the world, we have got time. There's no excuse there. So that's why Sri Ramakrishna says, no. If you want to realize God, you have to put in effort. You know it is there. There is butter in the milk, but one must churn the milk to get it. There is oil in mustard seed, but one must press the seed to extract the oil. Without working hard, you won't get any result. So to realize God, you have to put in effort. And with faith and another necessary condition is hankering to realize God. At present, we don't have that intensity. We don't feel that we really need God. Oh, well, if you can realize God, it's good. If I can have love of God, it's good. But that intensity is not there. If I don't realize God, I'll die. That feeling is not there. Sri Ramakrishna says we should have 3 hankerings together. The chaste wife's love for her husband, the child's yearning for mother, and the miser's love for his wealth. You combine these 3 and turn to God, then you will realize God. That hankering or yearning, intense yearning is needed. Without intense yearning, you cannot get God. All other practices that we usually do, spiritual practices or the rituals or that we follow, is only the preliminary, basics, just to set us start on the path. But to realize God, intense, real love of God will come only when we have the hankering for God or yearning for God. And only with that we'll be able to recognize an incarnation of God also. Thank you.
Thanks everybody for attending the talk, either in person or via YouTube. Just to announce about the upcoming events. We have the yoga class on Thursday morning from 10 a.m. We have the monthly Vedanta book club meeting, that is the one via Zoom, and that will be this Wednesday evening from 7:30 to 8:45 p.m. On Friday night, we have the fortnightly Bhagavad Gita discussion and class. That's from 7 with the silent meditation. And if you're joining via Zoom, the discussion starts from 7:30. And next Sunday, Pravrajika Gayatriprana will be giving her talk on Strike Off Thy Fetters from 11 a.m. And keep a lookout. If you're on our mailing list, then our monthly Vedanta circular will be coming your way via MailChimp. So just make sure it doesn't end up in spam or something, as I know does happen to some people. Have important information about all the upcoming events in September, along with some articles and a guided meditation by Mataji and whatever else we put in there between now and when we send it out to you. We have a donation plate there, donation box up the back. I believe you've all filled in the declaration form for COVID-19 when you came in. And we'll conclude now with listening to a guided meditation by Pravrajika Gayatriprana Mataji.
I bow down to God, the destroyer of all the miseries in this world, the giver of liberation, purity, and joy, who is the Supreme Lord, immutable and all-pervasive, beyond the manifest and the unmanifest, free from being many, ever blissful, ever gracious, ever pure, without attributes, stainless, limitless like the sky, whom the wise meditate upon in samadhi. In Him who is absolute truth, wisdom, and blessedness, we live, we move, and we breathe. In Him we have the center of our being, the center of our consciousness. When we contemplate on the Great Spirit as the self residing in all beings, we then realize our unity with all things and all creatures in this universe. Everyone is mine own. No one is a stranger or enemy. The universe is our own dwelling house. The whole of creation is our immediate family. It's my own self which is residing in every being. It's my heart that pulsates within every form. It's my understanding that guides and controls every life. When we contemplate on this oneness of ours with the entire creation, there is no place for fear in us. No one fears us. We fear no one. Inside and outside, we find only peace, only peace. Let us repeat in our heart again and again. When I read this, you please repeat after me silently. I love every being. I am one with all. My soul dwells in each body. In the soul of all souls, I am one with every being in this universe. Now imagine that rays of love and peace are emerging out of your heart. Beautiful golden orange rays of love and peace, imagine, are coming out of your heart and spreading in all directions, gliding into every place, above, below, in front, back. Imagine another beam of light and love traveling from you, engulfing all the regions to your right. Imagine a flood of life energy coming out of your back and enveloping all the regions up to infinity behind you. Imagine a beam of love and joy emerging out of you and rushing to envelop all the regions to your left. Now, the regions above you and below, front and back, are being flooded and embraced by the onrush of waves of life and energy and love gushing out of you. your body remains suspended in an ocean of light, in an ocean of energy and love. And inside you, in your heart, is absolute rest, silence, and peace. In the center of your heart, when you look closely, you can see a wonderful glow of golden orange luster. From where all these rays of love went out. Feel that all around you is the ocean of light and power. Your body is like a transparent pot suspended therein. And in the center of your body, inside your heart, is the beautiful glow of consciousness, which is still, silent, powerful, quiet. Let us try to hold ourselves in this state of equilibrium, with silence and quiet within, and an ocean of energy all around us. Hari Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace.